What's up, everybody? This is the Professor. Today, I'm super excited. We are about to go live. I'm here with the producers of the Playing for Eternity docu-series. We're going to share some BTS and some insight of what it was like filming my episode and doing this whole thing. Stay tuned.
What's inside the heart of a champion?
Well, is my life really about football?
Alexander breaks the tackle off to the races. Needs a block. Sean Alexander, touchdown.
You want to be at the top. You want to be the best. And that was Olympic gold.
Do you mind?
No, not at
all. Right. How did they succeed?
I'm Ben Smith, CrossFit Games champion.
When so many others fail. And why do they choose faith over fear?
Here I was, I just achieved something I wanted to achieve my whole life, and I just remember how lonely it felt.
There were some days I cried in the middle of the World Cup.
Can a Christian athlete actually live out their faith?
I was one of the bad boys. But as a person, I was just completely broken and lost. And
if you're pursuing Jesus Christ, you will automatically be countercultural.
Anthony Taliver, another triple. How valuable is Anthony Taliver?
What's up, everybody? This is the Professor. Today, I'm super excited. We are about to go live. I'm here with the producers of the Playing for Eternity docu-series. We're going to share some BTS and some insight of what it was like filming my episode and doing this whole thing. Stay tuned.
What's inside the heart of a champion?
Well, is my life really about football?
Alexander breaks the tackle off to the races. Needs a block. Sean Alexander, touchdown.
You want to be at the top. You want to be the best. And that was Olympic gold.
Do you mind?
No, not at
all. Right. How did they succeed?
I'm Ben Smith, CrossFit Games champion.
When so many others fail. And why do they choose faith over fear?
Here I was, I just achieved something I wanted to achieve my whole life, and I just remember how lonely it felt.
There were some days I cried in the middle of the World Cup.
Can a Christian athlete actually live out their faith?
I was one of the bad boys. But as a person, I was just completely broken and lost. And
if you're pursuing Jesus Christ, you will automatically be countercultural.
Anthony Taliver, another triple. How valuable is Anthony Taliver?
What's up, everybody? This is the Professor. Today, I'm super excited. We are about to go live. I'm here with the producers of the Playing for Eternity docu-series. We're going to share some BTS and some insight of what it was like filming my episode and doing this whole thing. Stay tuned.
What's inside the heart of a champion?
Well, is my life really about football?
Alexander breaks the tackle off to the races. Needs a block. Sean Alexander, touchdown.
You want to be at the top. You want to be the best. And that was Olympic gold.
Do you mind?
No, not at
All right. How did they succeed
I'm Ben Smith, CrossFit Games champion.
when so many others fail? And why do they choose faith over fear?
Here I was, I just achieved something I wanted to achieve my whole life, and I just remember how lonely it felt.
There were some days I cried in the middle of the World Cup.
Can a Christian athlete actually live out their faith?
I was one of the bad boys. But as a person, I was just completely broken and lost. And
If you're pursuing Jesus Christ, you will automatically be countercultural.
Anthony Tolliver, another triple. How valuable is Anthony Tolliver?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the long-anticipated live stream of Playing for Eternity. I'm so glad you've joined us today. I'm excited to give you a sneak peek behind the curtain of how this docuseries came to be. I'm Josh Merrill, and I'm the host and executive producer of the show, and we have a sweet lineup for you. We have a couple surprise guests. One athlete is going to join me here in the gym, and I think you have probably heard of him. At least his 7 million followers on YouTube have. And so we're excited to have one of our athletes from the show join us today. So you're not going to want to miss that. I'm personally excited to share a little of the history behind how this series got started. Believe it or not, the concept and idea and the wheels got turning before COVID happened. So as you know, it takes a while to get some things done. And just the amazing doors that were open to us, the people that were involved, the fundraising aspect. And believe it or not, this was supposed to just be a 2-hour documentary that is now an 11-part docu-series. So lots to learn as we get through tonight to give you a little sneak peek at how this was made, the people that were involved, and how we were able to connect with 23 athletes in 20 days. So if you haven't seen the show yet, I encourage you to do that. If you have seen the show, we want to make sure that you are sharing this with your friends and family. This is for everybody from the youth to adults. We feel like we'll be inspired and empowered to connect God to whatever they're doing or whatever sport they're playing. So if you haven't had a chance to share this or watch it, you can jump on angel.com or download the Angel app today and make sure you share that with your friends and family. All right, so what most people don't know that weren't involved in the early days of trying to get this docuseries off the ground was that it was originally supposed to be a 2-hour documentary about how we're all connected, how as athletes and believers, we're all connected. I'm sitting in a beautiful gym here. This is where I work at Shepherd Church, running the sports ministry, Shepherd Sports. I've been here for almost 20 years now. And I've met amazing people around the country that are doing sports in church as sports ministry. And so our initial plan was to travel the country and stop at different churches around the country and connect with professional athletes and how our faith connects us all. And as you move higher into sports, the world gets smaller and smaller. As you move in any profession, you kind of end up, rather than being 7 degrees of separation from Kevin Bacon, we're now just a couple degrees away from one another. And I believe our faith is like that. We are all connected, those that believe and love Jesus. So that was kind of the original thing. We actually had planned to do live interviews on a stage in 4 or 5 stops around the country. And as we got going, we realized the difficult parts of that were going to be too difficult to overcome, to get the athletes there, to travel with the crew, to do all that. So we changed it from using these stops to, okay, we are going to hit the road. We're going to set a date and we're going to hit the road and we're going to go out and see how many athletes we can interview in 20 days. So the year was 2020. COVID hadn't hit yet. And so we came up with the idea that we were going to call it the 2020 Project. We were going to interview 20 athletes in 20 days in 20 different states. So if you've seen the series, you probably noticed the intro, and there's some parts in there that actually have a lot of travel in there. It's kind of subtle the way it ended up. But initially with the documentary, the 2-hour documentary of how we were going to, it was going to be more about how we got connected with the athletes. That was going to be a bigger part of the show. Well, as soon as we hit the ground running and started filming some of these athletes, we realized that in 2 hours, we could not nearly showcase enough of the faith and testimony of these amazing athletes. And so partway through filming, we decided that, hey, this needs to actually be a docu-series. And so we shifted gears a little bit. Now, 20 days on the road is a lot to be away from my family. I'll stop right now. I want to thank them for being so amazing and supporting the crew that was gone, my family supporting me while we were gone, my church here supporting me. It was an amazing time, a busy time. So I want to get into that because we shot 23 athletes and we had 20 days on the road. So here's how that broke down. I'll give you a little of the inside. But first, I want to share something with you that sits in my office. Just in case you don't believe me, here is actually the artwork of the original docu-series, how it came up. You see the 2020 project. Now, what's special about this is we took these on the road and had all the athletes sign it. And then, so for some of our donors, we gave them, we were able to get them these posters. So this sits in my office, and really it is just a reminder of how amazing God is, that this right here is a culmination of everything that I'm sharing with you today and so many other stories. But during those 20 days, we actually were able to film 17 athletes. So of the 20 days we were gone, I think we filmed 15 or 16 days, and then there was a couple days where we filmed 2 athletes in one day. So what it looked like being on the road, we would wake up in the morning, we would film an athlete, we would spend time with them however long that shoot took, pack up, drive to the next state, spend the night, wake up, and repeat. And so many logistics into that. And when we start talking about locations and different things, if you've seen the show, there is we got to go to Titan Stadium. That would have to be one of my favorite locations. We were also, because of COVID, we were supposed to go to the Purdue pool on the 10-meter platform with Steele Johnson, who was an Olympic diver. And we thought, what an amazing shoot. We're going to be up there. They're going to throw me off this 10-meter platform. Well, instead of that, we ended up in the backyard, a countryside backyard in a swimming pool that was like 55 degrees. So I don't know what's more entertaining to watch. I would have preferred the 10-meter platform and the warm water at Purdue, but because of COVID, we couldn't get in there. We had to find a different location there. So that is how the athletes kind of got shot. That is the backstory to what we did. We came home and we actually were able to get connected to a handful of other athletes, which allowed us here in Southern California, which allowed us a total of 23 athletes that we got to film. But we did hit the road for 20 days and we hit 20 states, which is why you see a lot of the travel and the state signs and all that type of stuff. So before we move on, I want to remind you again, make sure you share this with someone that has a passion for sports and maybe they need Jesus in their life. We'd love for you to share it and make sure you get a chance to pay it forward. This last week, I had a chance to jump on with our producer who used to live here locally. In fact, I met him in this gym. His name is Jay Lyons, and I used to coach his son in basketball years and years ago. And it just makes me another one of those things that reminds me of how involved God was all those years ago, introducing me to Jay. And I came to him with this project, and he has a background in TV and film, and he was just the perfect guy. He loves sports and he loves Jesus, and we had an amazing time on the road. So I got to sit down with him on the computer. He moved to Texas. Jay, I miss you, buddy. So he lives in Texas now. So we jumped on the computer because I wanted you to hear from Jay just how fast-paced this show was. I mean, it was shoot and go. They call it a follow doc, so it's non-scripted, but man, we were moving so quick all the time. And so have a look at behind the scenes with our producer, Jay Lyons.
All right, we are here with Jay Lyons, a longtime friend and our producer and an executive producer on the show Playing for Eternity. Jay, good to see you, buddy.
Thanks, you too, Josh. I'm thankful that we're on video, so I don't have to do what I did for the whole show, which is look up and hold the camera 10 feet and get a bunch of ladders to film you. So
we did have a few unique shoots where we had to get you up, prop you up on something.
Wow, see, we're like 30 seconds into it, and Josh is making short jokes.
Yeah. Well, I'm mad at you.
Oh,
because you moved away.
I know. I moved from LA to God's country, Texas.
Now I got to get on a flight to see you, man. But thanks for joining us today. Why don't you tell just real quick, kind of like, hey, I'm Jay Lyons. Here's what I've done in the industry, and just kind of have a little background of how long you've been doing this.
Okay, so my name is Jay Lyons. I own and run a production company. I'm a director, producer, writer. I have a background in music, actually contemporary Christian music, and then segued that with some theme songs for some major TV networks like MTV and TLC and a bunch of shows like that. And then I started producing television. So I've been on a lot of hit shows that people may recognize. But if I mention them, they might be mad. So we're just going to leave that off to the side. But I've been doing this for a long time. I love telling people stories. So I'm what's called a shooter producer. So that means I hold a camera, but I also edit, and I have other people edit, and I also have other shooters. So I'm kind of like a director, shooter, producer. It's kind of a weird term, but I worked for most all the major networks. And recently I've got into a lot of social media, probably have over 1 billion views or more on content that I've created, a lot of viral social media hits, stuff like that. So I do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, very cool. I tell you what, like we were friends first. So going into like, okay, hey, now this is like professional Jay. We had been, it was another level, but what you brought to the project really was amazing. Like helping me as a first timer, really, obviously in this space was huge. In helping me, give me confidence, the questions, the connecting with the athletes was definitely a huge plus. I think not only like your professionalism, but I think the friendship there really helped make me feel comfortable as we, travel the country and kind of walk through this, and things change, which we'll talk about in a minute. But I appreciate you in that realm for sure. Like it was always easy. Like I never felt like I couldn't go to you even as a dumb question, or, you taught me so much. I'll hold you accountable, like just in those areas. I think that made the shoot a lot of fun too.
Well, thank you, Josh. It was it was a lot of fun. I'm just glad that the world is getting to see it, and the world needs to see it, and I think your passion for the project, was what was easy for me to kind of jump on board. Like, so you're an athlete, you're a D1 professional athlete who, has a passion for sports, but also as a minister and a pastor who wanted to change the world through that and needed somebody like me who had the experience with the major networks and doing tons of reality shows and unscripted shows to say, hey, and that's honestly had been a dream of mine. So it's God orchestrates things, and there are no accidents, as we know. So it's like I had wanted to bring all these skills and talents and things I had learned from all of the network shows I had been on to a Christian project to where we could, just build the kingdom. And so it was, it's awesome.
And you love sports. Like it was a natural thing for you for sure.
Yeah.
So tell me.
I remember just some of our pickup games when I would, beat you around, like in horse and one-on-one.
Now we're lying on TV. No one's going to believe that, Jay.
Well, we're not standing next to each other, so they may actually believe it.
Yeah, stand up taller in your chair. So tell me, what was, you kind of hit it on already, but like, what was that initial thought when I came to you with the project? Because obviously it ended up looking a lot different than when we initially if you can remember your initial feelings?
Well, I was super excited. I love traveling. I love sports. I've been in over 45 states for work for all the shows I've been on. And it was just super exciting. I knew that we needed to tweak the idea because that, we needed to put it in the format that it could, best succeed in. And as people probably don't know this, but it started out as a documentary. And then, through our talks, I was like, let's make it into a series. Let's make it into a show. There's so many athletes that we could cover. So I was super excited. It's always challenging because you don't know how things are going to turn out. So I'm like, this is the right path. But you remember we were having a lot of conversations, Josh, and you don't really know when you start a big venture or a big dream or a new business or a church or you do anything or a ministry, you're like, is this the right way? But I think that we really did. Our expertise kind of aligned. And so I think we did choose the right way. So that's super exciting. But my initial thing was like, let's go. This is awesome.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. A big adventure. So we had 20 days, 20 states, and 17 shoots during those 20 days. Explain a little, just so people can understand, what shooting was like. Fast paced, a big budget movie will do, 3 lines of dialogue for a whole day. And we're doing entire shoots in a couple hours. Just explain how fast paced and how kind of a follow doc, all that stuff went down.
So I don't want to get in the weeds, but for people who are curious, shows are made in 3 parts. And this is for scripted or unscripted. It's everything. It's the preparation, the actual shoot, and then the edit. So your 20 days was our shoot, right? But we had a lot of prep and a lot of edit, of course, 6 months or whatever. So the shoot is always the most fun and what people think the show is, but your shoot is going to go as good as your prep is. And so I feel like we did a great job prepping, and that's, with a lot of, shows I've prepped but the shoot itself was crazy because it's 20 days. And just so that people know, Josh had never he had never done a show before. So he built out this schedule and I looked at it and I was like, this is insane. This is ridiculous.
We only had enough money for 20 days, man. Let's do it.
Exactly. And I was like, this is not how shows are made. We need some off days. Our off days were pack up the shoot, drive 8 hours to another city and meet another athlete the next morning. So, it is a little more what the term for the industry is called run and gun. You show up to the location, you scattered out, and then you just we started to go. But it really was long and tiring and a lot of work. But, when you're doing something that you really believe in and is fun, it was fun, but it's a major slog, setting up and tearing down just work. It's like they say, opportunity knocks on your door in overalls and looks like work. So, it's a great opportunity for this show, but it was a lot of work, especially those 20 days. It was insane. We were tag teaming on driving. I remember that. It's like, okay, who's going to drive these next 5 hours? Okay, you drive, I'll drive. And I was like, no, you got to interview first thing. I'll drive, then you would drive. It was just crazy.
Yeah. So to let the people know, we ended up with 2 kind of big van, minivan expedition type thing. And there was 5 of us. And one of them couldn't drive. So we're rotating, big shout out to Lauren and Steve on our shoot, because we had one shoot. Did we leave from Arizona to fly to Colorado?
Oh, that's right.
We took 3 of us up there because, we had some interviews and dates lined up, but then that changed. There was some change. I can't remember exactly, but we had to go to Colorado. Then we flew to Kentucky and then met the two people that stayed with the cars, they drove to Texas from Kentucky. We flew back to Texas and got back in the car. So I mean, it was planes, trains, and automobiles for sure. And like some people put us up during the stay, and one hotel. Do you remember we checked in and had to check out because it was too. Was that Colorado? It was too ghetto.
I don't remember that.
Yeah. So some wild stories.
I mean, I believe you. You have a better memory than me.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I knew how much every day, every hour was costing us. I was going to get every dollar out of you, work you to the bone.
I know.
Yeah, I know the travel schedule. That was wild. Can you think of? Tell me what was like one of your favorite stays or locations or shoot? Like what was one of those things you thought that was fun? Like that's a memory I'm going to keep.
I feel like watching you. Josh is an amazing quarterback. Josh is good at everything. I mean, sports wise. He's just like one of those guys that no matter what it is, he's better than everybody in the room and everywhere. So I just remember how cool it was. So he's a state champion quarterback, and he could have gone to a bunch of D1 schools for quarterbacking too. So we were in the Tennessee Titans Stadium in Nashville, and Josh is throwing passes to a professional wide receiver in the stadium, and we had the whole stadium to ourselves.
It was so cool.
That was one of my favorite memories.
That was so cool.
And remember it was raining a little bit. And then we had our athlete walk us through like what he does. He's like, this is where I run out of the tunnel and this is where I pray and I get on a knee, like, well, what do you pray? And he says, I just thank the Lord for this opportunity and, praise God for my gifts and abilities and that I could be an awesome teammate. It's just so cool to hear that kind of thing. So like when you're in the stadium and, maybe they can cut that, in this, like that shot, but just like watching him and you talk about what he does and being in that stadium and watching you throw like a 40-yard bomb to him and like him running right under it. That was a highlight for me. I love that.
So cool. Oh, I remember that. Remember we were under the tunnel and it just like all just happened. And before you know it, we're at midfield and before you know it, we're down at the other end. And I'm like, the whole time I'm thinking, where are the cameras? Like we can't miss this shot. It was just so natural. Cody Hollister was amazing. His energy. Do you remember we were in the locker room and so he's a young guy and I said, okay, I'm going to get my cleats on. And he's like, we're wearing cleats. I didn't know that. Like he was going to get serious. And then they didn't let us wear cleats on the field, I think because they've been raining or something, which we obviously didn't need. But yeah, I mean, for like I chose to play basketball in college and football was like, man, one of those things. But to sit in Titan Stadium like that and throw passes, that was pretty cool. That was a great day. Yeah, it was so cool to see. So after we had met these guys, some of them were strangers, some were friends, some were acquaintances of other people. But how many? And Trey was one of those guys. After the series, actually got involved with what we were doing. They've been great in supporting, but they also financially like, hey, we love what you're doing. So not only did they give of their time, but they gave of their resources. These. Just that they believe in what we're doing and just love that. So last favorite, tell me your or you were looking forward to or you enjoyed like that interview, meeting that person. Like for you, who was that? Like for me, it was Darryl Strawberry because I grew up in the 80s playing baseball was my main sport. I was the Mets, Dwight Gooden and Darryl Strawberry and like meeting him was one of those things like, oh my goodness, I'm going to meet Darryl Strawberry, like where I was. And
his story is up the chart, insane.
Absolutely, yeah. So who is that for you on the shoot?
I think I really had Sean Alexander circled on my calendar just because he's one of my best friends, and so I was excited to bring him into the project and his family and his life and his faithfulness to his family. Is such a powerful testimony to anybody, and to me personally. So I know him very well, and everything he says is just true. Like he's just the real deal. And then, oh, by the way, he won the MVP of the NFL and holds a bunch of touchdown rushing records. And I mean, he's a legend at Alabama. With the Seahawks. So I circled Sean on my calendar. I was just so excited, and also I would be remiss if I didn't say I also circled the professor because he's another one of my BFFs. He's my boy. Do a lot of work with him. I've directed a lot of his, biggest videos, as you know.
Yeah.
Thanks to Josh, who introduced us. So I've directed a lot of the professor's biggest videos. So I circled him on my calendar like right away because he's such an amazing, genuine Christ follower.
Yeah.
And people don't know that about him. But he doesn't hide it at all. He's so out front with it. So I circled the professor on my calendar too, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Like
and so if you haven't seen the show or haven't seen the Sean Alexander episode, Jay found his way in front of the camera, which actually I thought you got to ask a couple questions to your longtime friend. But Sean was amazing. Like I've watched his episode multiple times. Like he has just things he says that are just so poignant and just so perfect.
He's wise. He is so wise.
Thoughtful guy. Like you really see his faith out. And I know he lived it. Why he was in the NFL, which is a different thing. I mean, here we got an NFL MVP on fire for the Lord. So that's really cool. So I appreciate you coming on. Last question for you. So after all the athletes interviews, location scouts, post-production, what do you think people should get excited about the Playing for Eternity docuseries?
I think people should be excited for the same reason I'm excited about it, is that this show makes an eternal impact with everybody who watches it, whether it's they grow in their faith or they even become a Christ follower, or they're encouraged in their faith, or they share it with somebody, or it excites them, or it encourages them to live out their faith. I mean, this show, everybody needs to see it. And everybody who is into sports or knows an athlete needs to send it to that person, and they need to support it because it's important. You know, it's more important. Like these types of shows is what I think of in my mind when I hear people complain about the programming or complain about what's on social media or the types of shows that other networks are putting out. I'm like, hey, I know of a show you can support. And we have endless seasons because you know what? There are so many athletes who follow Christ, like sincerely, and that we could highlight, you know. So we want to make season 2 right now, but season 3, 4, 5, and 6, the sky's the limit because there's a ton of athletes. And we showcase such a variety of people too, you know, like motocross, weightlifters, professional football, basketball, baseball coaches, skateboarders. I mean, like professional skateboarders, like softball players, you know, like the whole soccer players, World Cup soccer players. Like there's so many people that we didn't get to talk to, whether it's hockey players or a UFC fighter. I mean, this show has so much potential, and I want to encourage anybody who's watching it that you can feel confident to know that when you give to this show or send this to a friend or pay it forward to somebody, that this show people are going to watch it. They're going to watch it and they're going to love it, and eternity is going to be changed by it. That's why it's called Playing for Eternity. So as you can tell, I'm incredibly passionate about this, and it's such an awesome idea too, Josh, just to highlight athletes' faith, you know, and to do it in a fun, uplifting, inspiring way. So I can't say enough about it. I mean, I'm super proud of the work that we did and the work that I did on it as well, directing and producing it, and your vision, Josh. I'm super proud of the show, and I've been on a ton of hit shows, whether it's Netflix or TLC or MTV. I'm so proud of this show, and I want people to give and support this project so we can make more seasons.
But Jay, I appreciate you. Not only, I mean, our friendship, but you know, you were way underpaid for the value of what you brought to the table. I see your passion in that, and sticking with me and help me through this. And yeah, let's get people to pay it forward. Let's get people to share it, and let's get season 2 shot and done as soon as possible.
Yeah, we already have amazing athletes who want to do it, you know.
Yep.
And it's not just necessarily about the most famous athletes. We will get famous athletes. We already have famous athletes, but it's the stories, the heartfelt stories that people need to hear. I mean, when you watch these athletes, it's hard not to cry when you hear these athletes share their story, honestly. And even I remember editing and I'm crying, and you know, it's just crazy. So, and just so that people know, it's like we do a lot of research on the athletes. I personally do. Josh does. We dive into everything about them, just to make sure that there's somebody that we really want to put in our episode, because that's important, you know, put out there. So every single person in this show is amazing. from that standpoint. Don't you think, Josh?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we've had, some people bring ideas and different people, and we're, I think we're real intentional with that, from the diversity, but really lining up their faith and people that are walking that out every day, for me to highlight. Those are the people we want to highlight. So I'd actually love to see, like, let's hear from the people. Who do they think? Get excited about who do they think now that we're out there. We maybe have some connections to some people maybe we didn't before, and hey, we're praying God's going to open those right doors and have the right people for season 2. So again, thank you, Jay. For those watching, let's make sure the world sees this.
Amen, brother.
Did life group together, Bible study right over there. And anytime I call him, he is so quick to jump up and say hi to the kids at camp, or today, be here with us. He has over 5 million followers on Instagram. And if you watch basketball at all, you're going to know who this guy is. I want to bring out Grayson, the professor. What's up, man?
Hey, thanks so much for having me, man.
Absolutely. So glad you're here.
Yeah.
Yes. So, we got to hear your story on the show. So if you don't know who this man is, or you haven't seen the episode yet, in a quick 30-second, give them a little bit about what you do as a basketball player and your YouTube channel and all that.
Sure. So I started off in 2003 on the street ball scene. Street ball back in that day, it was its own genre. It was actually competing with the NBA. We had a show on ESPN that went 7 seasons. So I actually tried out for this reality show in 2003. It was called the And One Mixtape Tour, and I won this reality show, and I got a contract with this company called And One, and they had this reality series on ESPN where we'd go around the world playing street ball exhibition games. And we did that for about 10 years, and then I started my YouTube channel 2009. And I was still doing some one-off games, uploading content, but then it went viral in 2013, and I became the first Hooper influencer. Okay. And now it's like community today, which is cool to see that. But yeah, so today I'm on all platforms. It's all basketball content, still like street ballish, and just having a great time.
Yeah, so, still doing it. Yeah. So if you want to hear more about his story, of course, the faith aspect and how he got onto the show, and now his YouTube channel, and around the world, world, right? How many countries you been to?
40
countries, getting to play basketball, spread his joy of basketball and your faith around the world. So I appreciate you being here, coming up, making time.
It's like coming home.
Yeah, like coming home, right? So we used to get up and down on the courts, not street ball, but playing
street ball sometimes.
A little street ball. So in our challenge that we had for the show, I had to do street ball moves, which I played a lot of basketball, but I've never, our games couldn't be more opposite. He had
a few moves, though.
A few moves, but that's only because I've been playing basketball my whole life. Yeah. So tell the audience something. They're getting to learn a little about me. They got a little about, if they've seen the show, they know a little bit. Maybe tell our audience something about me maybe they don't know, or something about us that maybe the audience doesn't know.
So here's a cool one. We actually met on a Hollywood set how many years ago? Dang. Almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
We met in a movie with Woody Harrelson and Will Ferrell. We actually met on the set. That's where we came to be friends. And then I started going to this church about 2009. And started playing. My first introduction to the church, you're the head of the sports ministry here. I started playing in the basketball league. And then I actually got saved, found Christ, while I was going to this church in 2011.
Yep.
And so, so we go way back. And then let's see about Josh. Josh actually, b-ball hoop-wise, Josh is actually one of the best shooters I actually have ever met. I would put you up there with, that I know personally, Pinberthy. My brother is actually one. Maybe I'm biased. My brother and you and Rolo.
Okay.
You guys are some of the top 5 shooters that I know personally have ever met.
Yeah. Well, we can cut the interview right here. That's all. That's all we need to say.
But literally in all of basketball, that's what I would say. If I had to pick 5 people I knew, you guys are in that top 5.
Yeah. Sure. I appreciate that. That's a lot of a lot of time spent in the gym. I would trade some of that jump shot for some of those handles. And we could merge our games and we'd be ready for the league.
Oh, love that, dude. Love that. We'd be on maybe Steph Curry levels.
Yeah, there we go. So tell us a little, obviously you do shoots all the time with your YouTube channel. That's part of kind of what you do. Do interviews. You know, I know you're going from here today to do another interview and podcasts and different things. So if you can remember, I know it's been a few years, tell us a little about what the shoot was like just behind the scenes, working with our crew and all that.
Oh, it was great. What was also super cool is you introduced me to Jay Lyons, who was co-producing and directing with you on the project. So it was organic. It felt like it was a family thing.
Yeah.
And you guys came out to my office in Santa Clarita, which was really cool. But it was also cool to share more of the intersection of faith and hoops. I think I really like what you did because it's so undiscovered, right? Like I feel like even now, like, you know, with this first season being on, you know, this platform right here, I'm excited as it moves forward to hopefully even expand more because we live in the hoops Christian world and we know that's like a thing, but I feel like it's very like undiscovered. I mean, even as I go do all my things and I say I'm Christian, like people, it's just hard to reach everybody with that message, right? They don't know it or they don't even know that's like its own community itself, right? And so, I thought it was great.
Yeah.
And also hooping. Hooping was really fun too. We went out there and played ball.
It had been a year since we played together. First taking me out on the blacktop out there with those young kids.
Oh yeah.
I will say this, and I know you kind of see it in his videos sometimes, but we showed up to a local park and I mean there's 4 courts out there. I mean they all stop, they all want a picture, all the young, you know, a lot of high school kids there. They were all just super excited. They start gathering around the court. And I think that's a testament to you, obviously your videos and all that you do. But I will say from watching you, I just stood back, how gracious you are with your time, taking pictures and autographs and all that type of stuff. I think that goes a long way when we talk about, you know, I share a lot of times about they want to separate our faith out of sports, and obviously, you know, street ball and that culture, it can get kind of nasty sometimes.
I was gonna say we went to a nice park.
Yeah,
it wasn't the hood. Like we went to a nice park, so I had to.
So tell me that. So when you're trying to walk your faith and you might be in a difficult situation, I know you get all kinds of trash talkers. You know, all people think, oh, he can't do that to me. He's not going to cross me up. So what's your way of handling that and still shining the light of Jesus on the court?
I think that's actually always a difficult one. I feel like for hooper Christians, right? Keeping your cool on the court, and we've seen our share of like mishaps up here. You know what I'm saying? We all lost our cool at certain times. So I think it's a ever evolving process for me. But I think the older I get, the less personal I take any trash talk on the court or even trash talk period. Sometimes it can get very personal too, right? But I think the older I get, the less personal I take it, and I realize it's going to be over that day, and there's no championships at stake. But even if there was, right, you want to rep Christ in whatever your work field is. But like this is our office, so I try to bring it there, but also just try to be more like big picture minded. You know what I'm saying? Because when they leave that park, I know with me at this point, it's like it's a story for the rest of their life. You know what I mean? Like I'm playing people, and that's the hard part too. Like they're playing like it's for their life. You know what I'm saying? This is a story for the rest of their life.
Everyone's best.
You're trying to get a run in, but also you have to remember the impact. What's going to be more remembered than even the play would be like how you made them feel, how you treat them. So you want them to go away with a good story, because far too many times, I'll be honest, I'm not perfect. It's gone. People have probably gone away with a bad story. I always think about that too. Sitting in the seat of somebody who had a bad experience with me, watching us do like ministry, it's a gross feeling, you know what I mean? But it exists, right? It does someplace. So I remember the times where I wasn't right, you know what I'm saying? I didn't represent Christ good in the field. And so now I want to like always make it better and realize that whatever happens on that court, it's just a game ultimately. And I think like how you are towards people is way more important, obviously, you know what I mean? So, well, not even obviously, a lot of people don't think about that. So I want to do my best to convey Christ in that way. You know what I mean?
That's great. And I think, you get between the lines and the competitive nature of sports, and I've been there too. I think anyone can relate to that. So I think it's good. There's some authentic, true life that happens in between the lines. And I think it happens outside too. How do we control our anger? How do we control our emotions? All that type of stuff make a big deal. But now that I'm coaching, now I'm like, okay, how do I talk to refs? You know, it's like, can I honor God in the way like we conduct ourselves in the middle of this, you know, heated moment? So I know you have that. I think what you're saying is really wisdom. And like the longer we walk with the Lord, we know we can handle some of those situations.
Another thing I learned too is like you a lot of times as a ball player, Christian ball player, you'll have the strife inside you to like bark at a ref, like you said, like bark at a ref or tell somebody something, and like you could do it in a way that really like puts them down or makes them feel bad or curse or whatever, right? But I noticed I always feel like there's actually a more tactful way to do all things. Like even if it's leadership with your teammates, even if it's telling the ref instead of being like, you gotta be effing kidding me, right? And instead of going there, you could be like, hey, Ray, you didn't see any help? Yeah. I'm just saying. You want to look, just look at it.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm more on that tip now.
Yeah.
But so it's always there. But I have learned that.
Yeah,
so.
For sure. And that's tough. And I think especially for our nonprofit Eternity Sports, which help produce this, that is what we're trying to do with young athletes and coaches, is how do we navigate that competitiveness and our faith, when especially the world is saying, hey, we don't want to hear about that. You know, your platform, you know, that if they're coming for basketball, do they want to hear some of that stuff? So I know that's kind of a line that or a path that you have to walk that really we all do. And I think you hit on it without saying it. It's it's eternity. Like, what are we focused on? Are we focused on today and the game we're playing, or is it for eternity? So anything you want to before we go? What would you want our audience to know here? I want to make sure that you guys make sure to check out Grayson's episode. It really is cool how God brought him into this church. This gym was actually part of your faith story, along with several other individuals. I know we had Bible study right over there. We just talked about fasting. I mean, just the whole part of that has really been amazing. And God, one of the reasons we did this docu-series was to realize the impact that we can have as individuals. We don't always have to be the star. There's so many people in your life, in everyone's life, that has impact on them. And we think, if I'm not Grayson, if I'm not Steph Curry, if I'm not Sean Alexander or Trey Kennard, I don't have influence, but we really do all have influence.
I mean, just by default, everybody you come in contact with, we all have a network of at very least 50 to 100 people, right? So like however you move on the daily, you'll be affected. So like, it's all important.
Yeah, that's huge. So, well, thank you for being here. Sure. I can't thank you enough for one, being part of the show, two, coming up here today, and being part of this live stream, blessing our audience. I'm going to ask you, because you're in that basketball Christian world. Yeah. We're talking about a second season.
Let's go.
What Hooper or Hoopers do we need to have for season 2?
We need to pray it up that you get Steph Curry.
Okay.
That would be super sick. Get Steph Curry down here, but hey, God, you never know.
Yeah.
Jeremy Lin would be amazing. I know he's still hooping, actually. People don't even know he's actually in Taiwan playing on the same team as his brother.
Oh, that's cool.
Who's Christian Hooper? Pemberthy would be great to have on here, right? Yeah, 3-time NBA champion. Yeah. He was on the Lakers, the Kobe and Shaq era, 2001, and then he won now 2 championships with Denver. Or no, sorry, he won a championship with the Lakers as a coach, and now with the Nuggets, head of player development, I think. Yep. He'd be great. He's kind of like a mentor of mine also.
Yeah, but Mike's great.
Who else, man? I only know that hoop world. You know
yeah.
Oh, Ryan Sheckler would be really dope. I don't know if you know Ryan Sheckler.
No, I know who he is.
Huge in the skating world. Yeah, won the X Games. Started as a little kid. He had an MTV show. He's a Christian out of just like 5, 6, 7 years ago, something like that.
I didn't know that. I love that.
That would be a cool one. I met him recently.
Okay. Yeah, no, I remember his show. And we love to have obviously different kinds of sport. I mean, God's working all over the place. Yeah. So that's awesome, man. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate you guys watching. Don't go anywhere.
Let's go.
I want to thank Grayson for being here. He is a fantastic guy. He's always willing to jump in and help with whatever we have. whether it's here at the church or with the docuseries. And I'm proud to call him a friend. Thank him for being here today. So before we go, I know I've already made the announcement, but we're excited because season 2 is coming. For all those that have already paid it forward or have blessed us with donations to get season 1 off the ground, thank you, thank you, thank you. We could not have done it together. More importantly than season 2 or any pay it forward would be for people to watch this series. I shared a little of the backstory of where we've come from. Took years to get to this point. And as you know, we signed a deal with Angel Studios. And one of our big reasons for joining with Angel is they're doing amazing things, which we love. But the second part was anybody can watch for free. You can download the app and watch for free, or you can just go to angel.com and watch for free there. I love that anybody can get access to these stories as we shared. The power of testimony is so great in what God is doing in people's lives. And as we know, this country, this world is obsessed with sports. So what better way to meet them where they are than having these amazing athletes with all different kinds of backgrounds and different sports that they play to share what God is doing in their lives, because we know God is doing things in our lives. And I hope this series is an encouragement to you. I hope again that you'll share with somebody that they will also be encouraged. So don't forget, share and pay it forward if you haven't had a chance. And if you want more information on what we're doing at Eternity Sports with free content, helping sports ministry and athletes around the country try to join their faith and their sport together, you can go to eternitysports.com. Thanks for being here. We hope to get to see you soon.
What's inside the heart of a champion?
Well, is my life really about football?
Alexander breaks the tackle off to the races. Needs a block. Sean Alexander, touchdown.
You want to be at the top. You want to be the best. And that was Olympic gold.
Do you mind?
No, not at all.
All right. How did they succeed
I'm Ben Smith, CrossFit Games champion.
when so many others failed? And why do they choose faith over fear?
Here I was, I just achieved something I wanted to achieve my whole life, and I just remember how lonely it felt.
There were some days I cried in the middle of the World Cup.
Can a Christian athlete actually live out their faith?
I was one of the bad boys. But as a person, I was just completely broken and lost. And
If you're pursuing Jesus Christ, you will automatically be countercultural.
Anthony Taliver, another triple. How valuable is Anthony Taliver?